Good morning, everyone. How are you all doing? I hope you're all doing fantastic. I'm Mysticle, and today I'll be bringing you a recap of the last few days of XR news. A lot has happened, MetaConnect is now done and over with, and we got exactly what we were expecting. There's quite a bit to talk about, so without any further ado, let's jump right into the video. The first thing that we have on our agenda today is quite exciting. The Quest 3 will get inside-out upper body tracking. This is something that people have speculated about for, I think, the longest time now. Why on earth are we not using AI and the Quest cameras in order to do body tracking? Legs would be kind of difficult, as when you move them behind you, for example, when kicking, they can be obscured. And other movements with your legs can be completely obscured by your body. So legs are sort of out of the question for now. You do need some form of a tracker. But what about our upper body? It's kind of hard to obscure that from the headset, unless you're covering the cameras. The Quest 3 has two new cameras pointing downwards, and this should allow it to track your upper body quite well, and this is exactly what Meta is doing. To quote, the Quest 3 is scheduled to get an upper body tracking and AI estimated legs in a software update in December. The Quest 3 will be able to leverage its side cameras, which face downwards to track your wrist, elbows, shoulder, and torso using advanced computer vision algorithms. Meta calls this inside-out body tracking. This will prevent the issues with inverse kinematics, estimated arms, which are often incorrect and feel uncomfortable because the system has to make guesses from just the location of your head and hands. After this update on the Quest 3, when apps integrate the new SDK update, you should see your arms and torso as they are, not as an estimate. This should greatly increase immersion, and unless you ever witness elbow tracking in action, you might not understand this, as you might think to yourself, your elbow, what on earth are you gonna do with that? But the thing is, when you move your arm up like this, and your elbow is somewhere down here in virtual reality or in a completely different spot, it's a weird feeling. When you have mismatching body parts, it can feel a lot worse than sometimes not having them at all, which is why I believe Meta was trying to not give you legs for as long as possible until the memes became too much and now other people have legs. But you still don't have legs because A, you don't deserve them, and B, because of this exact issue. Now, with the Quest 3 tracking our upper body, we should be able to make pretty good estimations as to where our elbows are. This should also come in super handy for games, as if you want to elbow something, you should now be able to do so. And hopefully this will also jump into games like VR chat, etc. on standalone Quest. So that's something to be excited for on the new device, something that wasn't in the past possible because the cameras were facing in a different direction. And now I want to backpedal a little bit and tell you guys about the Quest 3 specifications. Because of course, Connect happened, you can now pre-order the Quest 3, a lot of people are very happy about it, and a lot of people are quite disappointed because of the price. Let me know what you think down below. But here are our specifications. We're going to have pancake lenses instead of Fresnel lenses, of course. This is one of the biggest upgrades on the Quest 3, and one that might be enough for people to upgrade. We're going to have 110 degrees of field of view. We're going to have 58 to 70 millimeters of lens separation, 53 millimeters to 75 millimeters of IPD adjustment. We're going to have depth adjust for those of us with glasses, dual LCD displays. Yes, it is confirmed now. We have dual LCD displays, not just a single display with virtual adjustment. We're going to have 2064 by 2208 pixels per eye, which is a huge upgrade over even just the Quest Pro, which has 1800 by 1920 pixels per eye. We are going to have 120 Hz right out of the box, and we're using the brand new Snapdragon XR2 Gen 2 processor. We're going to have 8 gigs of RAM. Unfortunately, this is something quite a few people were very disappointed about during Connect. We are not getting 12. 8 might be enough. This is still a mobile chipset. I guess we'll just have to wait and see. We're going to have 6 GHz Wi-Fi, true color, high resolution pass-through, which is going to be amazing, and you'll see why in just a second. We're going to have depth sensing, which is not available in any other Meta headset, and the battery will supposedly last us 1.5 to 3 hours. This will remain to be seen when I actually get the headset and when I stress test it and use it, how long it actually lasts, but this is the specs we have for now. We don't have eye tracking, we don't have face tracking, and we're using the brand new Touch Plus ringless controllers. $500 for the 128GB model and $650 for the 512GB model. This is something a lot of people were unhappy about, that there is no 256 mid-range model, and they just jumped right from 128 to 512, which is quite a big jump in both storage and price. I would have loved to see a 256GB model somewhere kind of in the middle. They might do what they did with the old Quest, and they might remove the 128 and put in a 256 somewhere in a few months. They did it with the 64 and the 128. They might do it again. We'll just have to wait and see. Yeah, those are the specs of the Quest 3 that were announced. And now that we have that out of the way, let me tell you about the higher resolution. As people have been posting videos showcasing the difference in apps and games between the Quest 2 and the Quest 3, and this is incredibly impressive. Sometimes adding shadows that were completely not there, and the boost in resolution with the pancake lenses should look beautiful. The differences in these games are quite astonishing. I haven't had the chance to try them myself, but just looking at one compared to the other, it's a night and day difference. It really shows you how much of an upgrade they gave to this processor. And the good news about this is the Quest 3 will apparently automatically render at a higher resolution in almost all apps and games. Even without updates from developers, almost all VR games run at the higher resolution on the Quest 3. Developers can, of course, go far beyond this by releasing Quest 3 graphics upgrade patches, boosting the rendering resolution even further and increasing texture resolution, adding new effects, enhancing the lighting, and adding dynamic shadows. You can see a side-by-side comparison of some of the first announced Quest 3 upgrade patches going above me right now. And as I mentioned, I personally do think that this is a night and day difference. Rendering aside, what will also make everything look better inside the Quest 3 is the use of pancake lenses. Meta says they offer 25% improved clarity in the center and 50% improved around the edges, as well as a much larger eye box, meaning you won't see as much blur when the lenses aren't perfectly aligned with your eyes, meaning a much larger and nicer sweet spot, which is great because a lot of people have issues finding that sweet spot for themselves, and then they think graphics aren't good, when in reality, it just takes quite a bit of adjustment to get right. Talking about those lenses, we now have a Through the Lens video on Reddit posted by Kesopuffs from the Quest 3 Passthrough, which they appear to have taken inside a store that was showcasing the Quest 3. I'm actually going to drive up to Kraków today, and I'm going to see if I can find the Quest 3 in any of the stores and get some videos for you. It would be quite nice, but I doubt we get that kind of stuff here. I'm super impressed, I must say. I actually am. I was expecting good, but not this good. This video is heavily compressed. Do keep this in mind as it was posted to Reddit. Watching the video at the beginning, I'm essentially awaiting the phone to go in through the lens for us to see the Through the Lens video, and then you see the Guardian show up, and it turns out that this is actually the Through the Lens video. And you can see the Guardian scanning through the room with the depth sensors and seeing everything around it. I find the pass-through to be one of the most exciting parts of this headset. As I said during the live stream, I am hugely in love with MR and AR, and I cannot wait to see what developers create for this headset. With that depth sensor and with color pass-through supposedly being this good, it should be amazing, and we should finally be able to live out those fantasies of having multiple displays floating around us, kind of interacting with things in AR. I think it would be really, really cool. Of course, I'm not saying this is going to be as good as something like AR glasses in the future. It's still a pretty big, bulky headset on your face, but it is supposedly going to be a lot smaller and lighter, and with a good head strap, it should be comfortable for a longer period of time because of this. So hopefully that is the case, and I cannot wait to be able to get my hands on my pre-order in order to see this pass through for myself, because on video, on paper, it looks pretty damn good. And I've also got some fantastic news for Quest 2 owners, as the Quest 3 supposedly won't have exclusive games until at least 2024. The Quest 3 isn't going to go into as many people's hands as the Quest 2 did, simply because of the price tag. It is not as affordable. And I'm going to take this quote from a pre-release event that Upload VR attended in London for both Quest 3 and the new Ray-Bans. "We don't have any specific Quest 3 exclusives, so everything that launches this holiday season until the end of the year will also be available on Quest 2, a Meta representative confirmed. That rules out any immediate exclusives when the Quest 3 launches on October 10th, but suggests Meta expects that they may begin appearing next year. So there will be exclusives. It is a more powerful device, and it would be a shame holding that back, as even looking at the side-by-side between a Quest 2 game running on the Quest 2 and running on the Quest 3, that graphical difference is huge, and it makes me wonder what they could possibly do if they focused on Quest 3 hardware. It would be a shame holding it back, but I am happy to see that for the holiday season, the Quest 2 will still get the love. Do you know what's not getting the love though? The top of your head. And I mean that quite literally. Because the Quest 3 has no cameras at the top of the headset pointing upwards, that region is no longer being tracked for controllers. Or at least not as well. In a session at MetaConnect 2023, the company explained it has moved the IR LEDs from the tracking ring into the faceplate of the controller, while also adding a single IR LED at the bottom of the handle. This means that the system has less consistently visible markers for tracking, but Meta believes its improved tracking algorithms are up to the challenge of tracking Touch Plus as well as Quest 2's controllers. Meta was also clear to point out the change in camera placement on the Quest 3 means that the controller tracking volume will be notably different to the Quest 2. And on the image that's showing above me right now, you can see the differences between the tracking on both headsets. On the Quest 2, you can see it has noticeably more tracking available on the top of your head. However, the Quest 3 has more tracking coverage around the user's torso, especially behind them. This is also where you can see kind of why the headset can now track all the upper body. You can see how much more it can actually see down there. I guess Meta did the math and realized that not that many games actually use the top of your head for anything. And for the games that do, I guess they can utilize some sort of AI algorithm to kind of predict where the controller was moving in a point in time and just estimate it until it goes back into the view of the cameras. How well this will run will remain to be seen. The controllers also seem to have improved haptics and a new trigger force that no other touch controller has to date, a two-stage index trigger. Meta explained that once a user fully pulls the trigger, any additional force can be read as a separate value, essentially a measure of how hard the trigger is being squeezed after being fully depressed. This is pretty cool, allowing you to presumably have a stronger grip on something, possibly allowing you to squeeze an object, grab it, and then squeeze it harder in order to destroy it. And finally, we're just going to take a quick look at the new Ray-Ban Meta Smart Glasses, which have Llama 2-based AI voice assistant. The Connect event was heavily focused on AI. This is something I personally found really cool, and the fact that they implemented it into glasses is even cooler. Now, the fact that I'm saying it's cool, because it is, doesn't mean I'm not worried about the privacy concerns. The new Meta glasses are going to have 2 cameras, better cameras with more megapixels, and they're going to be able to use AI to see what you're looking at in an update in the future. A lot of people were very unhappy about this, as privacy is going to be a big deal here. Meta already got into trouble with its previous glasses for privacy, and they had to make the LED indicator more visible. But it doesn't change the fact that I think this is really cool technology, and we are going into that future tech era where you might be able to put on glasses, an AI voice assistant will fire right up. You will be able to look at something, you have a problem somewhere, maybe you don't know how to connect 2 wires together, or something broke, you can look at it and ask your AI voice assistant exactly how to fix it. This is just one of the ways you could be utilizing this to solve your daily issues. And then of course we have all the other things, like they've also got improved audio for those of you that like listening to audio on your glasses. I'm actually one of those people. I've got Razer Anzu glasses, I've had them for quite some time. So this is something I'm very interested in, and I might possibly be getting them just because these, especially if they can record in landscape, I might honestly love as a content creator. But before I pull the trigger on these, I want to see how they approach the privacy aspect. Let me know your opinions on this one down below, as I do think that this could be a very mixed bag. That is going to be it for today's video. Thank you all so much for joining me today. You are all absolutely amazing. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day or night, wherever you are in the world. And in case you guys want to discuss these topics or any topics in more detail, check out our Discord, check out our Reddit down below. Would love to see you on there. And thank you so much to all the amazing Patreons showing up on screen right now. You guys are helping me out so much, especially during the last few weeks. Seriously, much love. Thank you. And as usual, if you want to be notified about content coming up on the channel, make sure to smack the subscribe button with your forehead, ding my bell, and see you again in the next video. Peace.